everybody, Dr. Nelson here. This is an interactive video lesson about a type of graph called a stem and leaf plot. So what's going to happen is you're going to follow along with me and take some notes, and then you have a chance to pause the video and try some problems on your own, and then at the end you can see how you did. All right? So what exactly is a stem and leaf plot? So check out this graph over here on the right. This is a good example of one. And this graph displays the hurricane wind gusts in miles per hour, right? And notice how we have a stem and we have a leaf, okay? And each one of these numbers represents something. So over here we have some information about just what is a stem and leaf plot. So a stem and leaf plot is a graphical method for organizing and displaying numerical data. Do me a favor, underline please, organizing and displaying. That's what it does. It organizes and displays data. A stem and leaf plot displays numerical data by splitting each data point into a leaf, usually the last digit, and a stem, which is normally the leading digit or digits. Okay, so every one of these pieces of data over here represents a miles per hour of a wind gust. All right, and the key thing to look at, I even wrote the word important over here, okay, is the key. So here we have a key. Notice we have a 9, and then we have a line and then a 0. What that represents is 90. So the 9 represents the tens digit, or the tens place, and the 0 represents the ones place. So let's say, for example, if we have something like this, say a 7, a line, and a 7, that would represent the number 77. So also notice how the data represented, all right, is in order from least to greatest. So this number here would be 60 because we have 6 and a 0. This would be another 60. And then this would be 64, 65. Now we're in the 70s because the stem is a 7. So that'd be 72, 73, 77, 78, 79. Now we're in the 80s. So this would be 80, 81, 83. And then finally we're in the 90s. So this would be 90, 95, 95, 96, and 99. Okay? And altogether there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 pieces of data. All right, so let's actually make a stem and leaf plot. And we're going to make a stem and leaf plot displaying the points scored for 8 games by the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a football team. So notice I have my stem and leaf over here, right, with a key, which we'll fill in a second. And the first thing you want to do is you want to take all these points and put them in order from least to greatest. So I noticed it looks like the least amount of points scored during the 8 games was 17. So we have 17 that comes first. If you want to, you can just cross off it as you do this. And then it looks like we have 24 occurs twice. So 24 and 24. Cross that off. And then we have 27. And then we have 29. And now we're in the 30s, so we have 32. 35. And now, finally, we jump up to 52. All right. So now we're going to add the stem, all right, and then the leaves. So remember, guys, the stem, right, is going to be the tens place. So let's say we have the number 17. So what that's going to mean is if we have a 1 and then a line and a 7 like this, that's going to represent 17 in the real world. Or, for example, if we say we have, say, a 5, a line, and then a 3, okay, that would also represent 53. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to write down all the stems, right? So we start with 17, so that's going to be a 1. And then we have a bunch of data that's in the 20s. So we're going to have a stem that's a 2. And then we have data that's in the 30s, a 3. Now we don't have any data that's in the 40s, but I'm still going to write that over here. You'll see why in a little bit. And then finally we have data that's in the 50s, the 52. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down now the ones place, okay, as the leaf, right? So we have a 17, so that's going to be a 7. And that's the only point scored, right, in the tens between 10 and 20. So that's the only value here. But notice for the 20s, we have 24, 24, 27, and 29, right? So 24 occurs twice. So I'm going to write two 4s, a 4 and another 4. And then we have a 27, so I'm going to put a 7. And then we have a 29, so I'm going to put a 9. For our 30s, we have two values in the 30s. We have 32 and 35. So I'm going to put a 2 here and then a 5. Now notice we don't have anything in the 40s. So I'm going to leave this one blank. And while there's nothing there, it actually says a lot. Because when there's a blank space, that means there wasn't any values that were in the 40s at all. And then finally, we have one that's 52. So this is going to be a 2 like this. All right. So we just made our first stem and leaf plot. And now we can take some time to answer some questions. So the first question is, what is the range of the data? And notice now that we have organized, it's easy to find the highest and lowest data point, right? So it looks like the high score was 52. And the low score was 17. So if I do 52 take away 17, we get a range of 35 points. And a nice advantage of a stem leaf plot is you can easily find the mode. Now remember, the mode is the value that occurs the most. So notice over here in the 20s, we have 2, 4 for the leaves. So that means 24 occurred twice. So the mode value is going to be 24 points. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pause the video and try the your turn now problem. And then when you're done, hit play and you can see how you did. All right. Good luck. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you did. So to save us a little bit of time, what I did is I already made the stem leaf plot. So again, what I did is I put the numbers in order from least to greatest. And these are the student test scores, say on a math test, right? And then I made the key. So notice when we have a stem of a 3 and a leaf of a 0, that represents 30, right? So then I put the numbers in order. And then I filled in the stem, I filled in the leaf. And then based on that, I can answer these questions, right? So what is the range of the data? So remember, the range shows the spread of the data, right? So 98, that's the high. 30 is the low. So 98 take away 30 is 68. So the range value is 68 points. And then the mode is the value that occurs the most. And notice we have two 88s, right? And everything else occurs once. So the mode would be 88 points. All right. How'd you do?